I want to talk to you about backend selling systems. This is more of like an introduction because we're going to get deeper into each of these. But really the core problem is that there's a lot of business owners out there that are assuming that their main issues, low leads, low sales, low conversion, that it has to do with having bad ads or just shitty targeting. They'll blame their sales team. They'll think it's weak funnels or it's just the wrong audience altogether. But the real problem is really an information gap. There's this asymmetry of information between the people that are coming in and your teams and your offer and everything else. Leads are showing up cold. Like they have no idea who you are. They've probably just seen you for the first time. The first time they ever saw you was on an ad. And they're coming into this completely uneducated. And that's the problem. Like a lot of your sales calls are becoming education sessions instead of like sales conversations for real. Like you're not getting deep and understanding what the prospect actually needs. You're just trying to explain what it is that you do. So I'll give you an example of this information gap. So imagine you post something on LinkedIn that 60% of corporate professionals are going to be laid off before retirement. And that's an interesting stat, but nobody's going to book a call from that. Now, imagine that you have a friend who escaped from corporate 6 months ago and he DMs you and he says, hey, I don't want to alarm you, but the way you described your role last week, politics, the bonus disputes, the restructure, that's exactly where I was when I got canned. So I think we need to have a conversation sooner than later to plan your escape plan. At that point, you see the difference, right? Like the same idea, but completely different urgency. And that's the information gap. And that's what we're going to try to do with our backend systems. So I'll show you what I mean. There's really 4 parts to this. The first thing that we want to do is we want to have a confirmation page. And there's some best practices around there. And what we want to do is we want to capture the attention of the person who just signed up right then and there. That's the peak moment of attention at the point of opt-in. Most people are just getting the name, email, phone number, and that's it. What we're going to do is we're going to show you a series of best practices that you can employ to get not just the information, but also get them excited about the call so that they actually show up, so that they actually know what they're showing up to, so that they understand the value of what's coming next. The next thing that we're going to do is we're going to send a series of really valuable emails, like value dense email sequences. So email value. Now this stuff is going to be so good that it's almost going to hurt you to give it away. We're going to deliver information that builds priority. One of the strategies that I have is a webinar, and the webinar is just so information rich. It shows you a process, it shows you a result, it shows you that you can do it, and you spend an hour and a half with me. So a lot of people that show up to a call, they're already primed, like they're ready to go after watching that. The next thing that we're going to look at is really the propaganda campaign. Propaganda. And the reason I call it this is that we're just going to throw so much information at them. We're going to give them absolutely everything that they need to know about us, our backstory, testimonials. We're going to actually show them a little bit of sauce, everything that we can do to have them really primed for the call. And the final thing, and like this is super important, the salesperson that's going to be on the call is going to do manual outreach. Now, in our email value, it's all right for it to, be generic. But when the salesperson reaches out directly, maybe sends a quick Loom video introducing themselves, explaining what's going to be covered during the call, something like that, that makes all the difference, because then the person's going to be expecting the call, expecting that meeting, and they're not going to want to let down another human. There's a little bit of reciprocity that goes into this. Now, what's going to happen when you put all of these things in place? It's really quite simple. Your show rates are going to go up from 30% to 80%, which is really good. So if you watch my video on the 1 call and 2 call funnel, you'll see the impact of actually changing the show rate that much. You just close way more deals. And in a high ticket space, closing 3 or 4 more deals could be 20 grand. So think about that for a second. That's the next thing. So higher show rates have higher close rates after the fact, because everything is just a numbers game. Like we're going to lose people along the way, but if you just have more people coming in and showing up to the final call, then you're going to close more deals. It's just a mathematical certainty. The other thing that we want to deal with in this kind of situation is we want to get as many PIFFs as we can. A PIFF is a pay in full. It is much, much better to get $5,000 all up front than getting $1,000 or $2,000 and then a payment plan. Why? Because you can take that large chunk of that cash and pump it back into ads to get more people into your VSL. So you can turn your $3,000 that you collect out of that $5,000 because you got a full $5,000 payment in full. You can take part of that to pay your closers, pay your setters, then you can drive this into ads. And once you do that, you're in a whole new game, because now you're just booking another 30 calls. Remember, $100 a call, 30 more calls. That's a lot more deals. That's a big, big thing that you got to keep in mind. So if you can increase your cash collection, you're just going to do better as a business in general. It allows you to plan better and just invest your money into ads, which will ultimately make you more money. The other thing that you're going to do is that you're going to reduce the sales cycle. If the sale typically takes 6, 8 weeks because you got to warm the person up and you got to make sure they understand what the business is doing. We have seen a dramatic compression of the sales cycle. I quite often have a one-call close, meaning they show up already primed, ready. I'll see if I can find an example where the guy at the end of the call just tells me, hey man, I was ready to go as soon as I watched the webinar. And I was just waiting for you to tell me how much it was so I could just pay it. And I could have saved myself that whole sales call. But I'm telling you, like, this sales cycle is going to be dramatically shortened if you put into place some of the things that we're going to talk about. You're going to see an improved perception from your closing team about the leads, because when people show up understanding what the offer is, you're going to have a happy team of closers, people that are happy to show up to work because they know that the leads that are coming in are fucking garbage. Because if they're showing up cold without email sequences, not knowing who you are, it's just a waste of time for everybody, and it's just a bummer. So that's why it's super important to have these systems in place. Now, this is purely a back end play. Now, you still need good ads, you still need good salespeople, and you still need a good product and service to deliver. You need to do what you need to do on the front end. I hope that's been useful. I'll see you in the next one.